Custom Corner, Episode 2, Mignola Batman.
This is the final product of so many renditions of Batman. Now, you may be looking at him and you're kind of like, this is kind of a weird looking Batman. There's a very specific style Batman that I was aiming for here. This is a Batman custom made that I'll show you through the whole steps of everything that went throughout it of building him, but this is a Mike Mignola styled Batman. So, bring him in a little closer. Now, there is some things that, of course, I could improve on, but the neck, of course, you can get him to look down a little bit, or kind of do a bit more of a crouch. Looks up about so far. It's not the best, but you get a nice Batman looking up at someone standing on an edge of something pretty well. Shoulders come up to about there. So we'll go through pretty much the base of it, but this was actually made with a lot of hybrid parts and then some additional sculpting. So you can get a full 360 with the arm, but because of this chest, how I had to make it, and some rubber that attaches so that it doesn't break up the actual look of the sculpt, is kind of why there's a restriction here. You can still go up. But because of that too, you would have to put the bicep swivel that I have in there, then bend, and get right in the chest. Both arms do well. Now, there are no scallops. You can touch fists. There are no scallops on the end of his gauntlets because, if you know Mike Mignola's gauntlets, they have a very long points. And I just haven't been able to find the right material for that. So, his arms down. And in the wrist, I have actually salvaged a Storm Collectibles, those joints that they have. So it goes up and down, turns, and you get the very curved in kind of gripped fist that Mike Mignola usually is standing with. Big chunky belt. It does float just a little bit. You have about this high. Now the legs, how I put them together is they're actually some Marvel Legends Wolverine legs, and they are actually put onto the main torso. You'll see is a DC Icons Superman. So. Got your double knee, and in here I had to sculpt the very square knee that Mignola loves to put, and it's like a slight bend there, so when you have it, you get the exact look. You get the look of, there it is right there. You get the look of how he usually draws that. So, downward, yep, some of the red shows, and that's more because the type of paint I used was kind of a glossy. Got foot pivot, and so he does have a bit of a crunch. It's just kind of hard with the belt. So it's kind of the best I can do for them. So he does not really have too much of anything on the accessories side. I have a Batarang that I just haven't finished getting painted and sculpted up for him in the string, because if you know Mignola's Batman, he, in his standard kind of comic look, he also has the oval with the yellow and blue, but I went with the black because it's just interesting. Mignola's art style is very desaturated, so I think this kind of gives more of a realistic look of how it's drawn, even though most of the time he has the oval when Mignola has drawn him. But his weapon is usually kind of like a Batarang with a rope tied around it. Almost kind of like a tied boomerang. Because his Batarangs do not come back to him when Mignola has drawn him. Then the other ways has been for like Gotham by Gaslight, so he has a pistol in that one. And the suit's a little different, which I didn't want to go with that one because I was going to require a lot more stitching. So what you can see here too is the belt is a piece of rubber that's around. Then each capsule and the buckle are sculpted, then painted. The actual Batarang, what I did was I drew the bat signal of how Mignola does it on paper, cut it out and folded it kind of like origami, then used a matte, almost chalkboard paint on it to make sure that sticks. The head up here, actually the joint that goes into the head, so right in here, I could pull it so you can see it, but that's a Figma, the ball and bend joint. Then down there is a neck. That's actually a Figma neck too, but it was damaged. I usually get a lot of Figma fodder because I can usually use it in most of my customs with ease. Now, the reason why I made this Batman, not only because I love Mignola's art style, but I love Hellboy. And it's hard to get the Thousands toy, the authentic one, at a you usually find it at a big price. So I've been able to get this bootleg one. But now the bootleg one, there's quite a few differences, but I have been able to fix up the coat so it looks a little cleaner. I gave it a little bit of a dark wash, so then he looks a little closer to what he's supposed to, and replaced his ankle joints. I need to put them in a little bit better, but they are from an SHF ankle point, so you can see right here. It goes with the boot, so it'll work a little bit better. I just need to, finish applying this into the right spot. But he moves pretty good. For the most part, I was worried because what I have seen for certain kind of bootlegs is they do not move as well, and the sculpt is damaged in some way. But I have to say, he works pretty good. I do tend to get actually a good portion of KOs to work from them because it does give me kind of like a base sculpt, and I can work from there. So soon here I will go through my Solid Snake and Big Boss. One was a commission and one is for my personal collection. But you'll be able to see how you can use a bootleg or those KOs. I did do a little bit of a short of Wolverine that I've done it a couple times now. I'll probably post that one in shorts and as a full-length video. But you can see how you can actually expand on the KOs and not necessarily have to spend for a ton on those full price ones. Now it's up to you because of course you are supporting the company when you do so. But if it's something that they no longer make, I feel like there's no big issue on getting the bootleg at that point. So this was a review pretty much of KO 1000 Toys Hellboy, a basic one. I mean, it doesn't have all the same motions. Yes, this is a rubber piece, and you have a little bit of ball joint down here and here, so the head does move really well. And legs, they do what they got to do. They do bends, they do ups, bends, tail moves. Jacket is wired, arm and hand is pretty good. I just haven't really messed with it a lot, but we can tell you, I got a bone to pick with you. But we can, and I mean, of course, since Hellboy's a bit of a Batman fan, it just works out to have these two together. And seeing as it is a KO and a custom, I think they mighty fine together. I think together too, they happen to have the full look of that they came off of the comic. Not to toot my own horn, but I think I managed to get him to look very close to it. Now there's some issue here, and it was because when I kept referring to the comic, I did a peek because there's a shadow, and I had messed up there. But I think overall they look great together. They look like they are from the comic, which was my hope. I always kind of focus on little details in every type of art style I do, because I think the details, they add up, and that's how you get things to stand out. The more detail specific or the better to attention you have, I feel like your product will come out a little bit better. And we'll kind of go into that also with the Solid Snake and Big Boss, which those ones are pretty fun, and I know that a lot of people would be interested because it's typically kind of expensive to make those at 112, but I hopefully have a easy trick for you to be able to make them within like $100, which isn't bad, and I mean, it'll be stylized to how you want to do it. So again, here was the kind of talky point of looking at Mike Mignola's Batman. And after this, we're going to go into pretty much step by step of how we made it. And here is 1000 knockoff Hellboy. I think they look pretty good. Alrighty, on to the next portion.
Alright, so just in case if you didn't know actually how Mignola's face design looked, I saw this head and I started thinking to myself, that'd be perfect for doing a Mignola-styled Batman. So I got on the works with it using some DC Icons-styled parts, then sculpting, of course, the chest and the knees in there with the clay. But I also was starting to notice that the head was just a little too square. But here's testing out some cloth in the belt after having made it. Here you can see it already carved out the head, make it a little bit closer and a little further on the belt. There's some rubber around the neck, and it's to give it an elongation, but also to give it just a little bit more articulation. I also had to put in some abdominal pieces because the Mignola style is very barrel chest, narrow arms, and longer legs. So here in the end is just a little gander of how he looks posed up. I think this was a very solid look. I'm very proud with how it is. There are parts I could definitely, change and make a little bit better. But that is my Mike Mignola Batman for now. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see y'all!